kind of in a half trance,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really enjoy that space.
I slept in a little bit this morning, so not as much time as I normally do to like collect and be with myself while I'm just getting up and getting ready onto here. And what that means for me is just to quiet my thinking mind and drop into my heart.
Yeah.
Which is the practice we do here, but we do it together, which is a different space, better, and just different, but it's still the same practice.
Yeah.
And I was just noticing I noticed how quick I could fall into that. Like within seconds, it was just like, shoof. When I laid down, I kind of lay down or sit down in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And how calm I got. I noticed I had a little bit of a headache, and so I calmed. I call it going into my heart, breathing, and then just feeling what was going on in my body. And I could feel what was going on in my headache. I could find the 2 points, found the points, and just dissolved what the tension that was in between it. I just sat with it for whatever, just looked at it, and the obvious came, like whatever shows up, it shows up with it.
Yeah.
But I was putting my focus on that, seeing what it was, asking for the information, and my headache is 60% less than what it was and diminishing.
Yeah.
And I think I ended up with having like 4 minutes before the session. So amazing. So I just was appreciative of, as I fell into my heart, I just noticed how grateful I was for how fast I could do it.
Yeah. Yeah. How you can be really intentional about it.
Mm-hmm. It's intentional peace.
I find it's getting to be more automatic.
Mm-hmm. And so that carries with me most of the time during the day, not to that same intensity or level, but a conditioning, a practice.
Yeah, just the practice of doing this every morning. Morning's really conducive to that state in the first place.
Tough to hear you, Craig, I think your mic got moved around.
Okay. I'm just saying I'm saying it's just like, it's really conducive doing this in the morning. It's really really conducive to doing this because you're kind of in that state in the first place, in that state between wake and sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And and slipping into it's really easy. And then practicing it for, I don't know, however many days, it just, it's getting really, really easy.
Would you do the honors and invite Pascal to the space?
Hey, Pascal. I'm inviting you
guys
to our liminal space this morning.
What's that? Sorry?
I said I'm inviting you into our liminal space this morning.
Lebanon?
Liminal.
Oh, liminal.
Like subliminal.
Oh, yeah,
liminal.
yeah.
It's above the subliminal.
Mm. Like
Very good.
limitless, in a sense.
That too.
That too.
That's a quality of it. You bet.
Mm. Well, I'm glad to join.
Welcome.
Thank you. How are you guys doing?
Well, we were just discussing how easy it is to slip into this space every day.
Mm.
And even when it's not us meeting, but later on in the day, to be able to just kind of step into it, it's getting easier and easier all the time.
Yeah, like,
So the practice is paying off.
right. To get back to your true nature.
Yep. Yep.
Mm. Yeah, I feel that for sure.
Yeah, to an optimum state of being.
Mm. Peaceful operation. Yeah, a powerful orientation aimed at passion, purpose.
Orientation is good.
Mhm.
Good word for it.
And I would say my headache is 20% less now,
Mm.
meaning only 20% remaining.
From this morning?
Mm-hmm. I woke up with a little headache.
Yeah.
I was a little late getting up, and so my shorter routine, and
Mm.
so for a couple of minutes before I know what I have to do with my headache, and it takes a little bit of, I got to focus and breathe. And so what I noticed was, as I did that, as I started into it, how quick I got to that place. So I'm just grateful and appreciative of the practice, alone and together. So how is Pascal?
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Yeah, what I noticed is like people are still poking me, but I have no reaction. So they stop. And even that, like sometimes I'm like I'll explain something about health, right? And be like, oh yeah, you like your concept and da 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 da, And I'm like, okay, well, you don't want to hear it? It's like, oh yeah, go on. And then like I tell them a little bit a cause that maybe a person is small that I heard yesterday. Why? And he's like, oh wow, that makes a lot of sense. My mom was a smoker, and then she was drinking all the time, and da, da, da. And I'm like, okay. So, but like I wasn't fuzzed, right? I was just like, yeah, wow. Or like one way I found out, like if say people have a different view or something, the only thing I say is, yeah, that's one way to look at it. Right. And that's all I say, And then,
Yeah.
but yeah, That's one perception. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and that way you're not offending them because you're agreeing them that, you know, they have something to say and you heard it, and you know, that's their point of view, and that's fine, right? That's one way. You know, doesn't mean it's the only way.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, it doesn't any kind of animosity into the situation or anything. It's just like, okay. Yeah, I acknowledge that.
You intentionally removed a grenade. So there's a different space that people can be in, and they're not used to it. And if you think about it, they're right. They can be right and more space. It's like people just don't.
Yeah.
We're so used to defending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're ready. They're ready for it. Right? They're ready for it, and then like you disarm them completely.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
It's almost like, do you want to hang your arm to me? You know, your guns or your. Yeah, now we can talk, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another one I was talking is like, well, you saw me coming. Like I went to see a kidney specialist, and I was so amazed that in 16 years, and I remember the conversation like it was yesterday. And in 16 years, nothing new she could tell me. And I'm like, you're a nephrologist. That's all you do. You know, you would think like they know like kidneys in and out, sideways, everything. Like, I don't know if like she's not allowed to say things or she just, you know, she went to school as a nephrologist and then she never pushed her study further. And I'm like, it's amazed me. It really amazed me when you say like you're you know, you're a professional in your field and you don't know more than that. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll have to do my own research again.
Patterns.
Yep.
The danger of them, finding especially danger of a pattern that works, quote, works. And a perspective of mine could be she's miserable with it.
Yeah, could be. Or like everybody's agreeing on what she's saying, so she never have to challenge her belief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I challenge her belief. But she didn't have any answer, but maybe like she'll be reflecting on this and be like, huh, maybe I should know that. You know?
That's one of the problems with academic learning.
Yeah.
It's like you get this body of knowledge that everybody concedes to, and nobody can free think outside of it.
Yes.
that's true in religion too. It's true in academics as well.
And the truth of it is, if you were to go
Specialties.
back and study it again and look at it, you'd pull new stuff out of it. You'd
Oh,
make
totally.
new connections. And
Totally.
people say, oh, we don't have to do that because I got it already. I got my degree.
Yeah.
Not everyone does that, but
Well, schools are the same way. Schools aren't open to new stuff either. I ran into that when I was teaching college. It's like I was teaching emerging technologies, which were changing all the time. And a lot of people there wanted to kind of stick to certain stuff. And it drove me absolutely nuts because I'm going, no, there's new stuff coming up all the time. You can teach basic principles and things, but you got to be adapting all the time. Otherwise, the education is useless.
Mhm. Our government is a example of that.
Yeah.
Meaning in the processes, the procedures, and adapting technology more of a band-aid than building off of the old, complicating it even more. Yeah. Just from the outside, if I look at the post office and how it runs, or the DMV and how it runs.
Yeah, they're good at what they know.
Well, and they're not even good at what they know.
Wow.
There's still
Whatever.
lineups halfway down the block at the DMV.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're talking about the post office. Yeah.
Well, in the post office too.
Yeah.
It's like, there's been a lot of competition that's come up and they're still pissing around with old technologies. So anyways, what I was going to say, the moral of the story with being both on the student and the teacher side of academia is that a visionary doesn't fit in that system very well, either as a student or a teacher.
Mm-mm.
There's just no room. There's no room for innovation or anything, or any kind of new thought, or any new ways of doing things.
I applied that to the oil industry and big oil business. That was the same thing. A visionary couldn't survive in it. I mean, it would have been miserable as F, right? Miserable as fuck.
Yeah, because every new ideas you get shut down.
It was.
Yep.
And if I fought to get it approved, if it didn't work, you got reprimanded.
Yeah, while everybody was fighting to make damn sure it didn't work.
That's right. That too. I had people around me
It was
that were
your
doing
fault
their
because
own.
you suggested it.
Yeah, and
It's insane.
yeah, and really, I do have to say that I cracked the nut yesterday. So full circle, baby. I'm coming back at them.
Good.
With the same thing they said no to.
Yeah.
And what's awesome is I get to come back to every company that has said no, and at a minimum they're going to leave $450,000 on the table if they say no again.
Sounds good.
The current customer we're doing right now, we're not doing as many. So we probably do 5 wells a month over there. So well, probably we do. We've probably done 30 wells for them, right? And under this new model, 30 wells at $4,000 a pop. Under this new model, we'd have to do 75 wells and it would end up costing them $2,000
A pop.
a pop. No, $2,000 total.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that big of a credit.
Wow. Oh, wow.
But they'd have to increase. Yeah, it's a 600 to 60,000% return.
Oh, wow.
They'll make 1.3 million on $2,000. All in the name of carbon. Carbon
sweet.
credits, baby. Yeah, it is.
Wow.
I mean, so you tell me how someone can say no to something like that.
Oh, you have to be a total idiot.
Well, and I've seen them. I've seen them. Trust me, I've seen them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But the thing is, yeah, it's when it's too good to be true, that's even harder to sell, actually.
Well, it's perfect is I get to, the way that it's structured. I put them in, I put pressure on them, but it's not me putting pressure on them.
Right. It's coming from the carbon people.
Well, yeah, the rules in which the credit is capable, every operator has to do their own, and I have to do it at a field level. So
Wow.
So the field does it, but the operator doesn't have to, but I need a certain percentage for that field to qualify.
Okay, bingo.
It's genius. It's brilliant. And so I'm going to just continue charging what I charge because we don't charge enough for what this new thing is. And then I'm going to, the charge will be, we're going to take a percentage of your credit for managing this program. Because the price of credit right now is $74. A year ago, it was around 190. And so, yeah.
Right. Your risk is a lot less.
Everyone's risk is a whole lot less on our end. I mean, that's just the bare minimum. That 450,000 is just that's the minimum to do the project. And to hit 10% is 3 times that.
Yeah.
And I'm saying we need to be at 30, 40, 50%. Let's put it at 50% here. If I'm impacting 50% of the production, it's a $2 billion company just in Bakersfield.
Oh, wow.
And that doesn't include credits. Yeah. That's big.
Yep.
So it's like I can say and I'm celebrating. So I'm celebrating now. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, of course.
We're for the new customer. We're going to be on location finally next week. So I got a location and a time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like a bit of manifestation going on.
Oh boy. Yes, it has. Started Thursday, Craig, that session. It started even though it's been building. Yeah. It's been building since.
Yeah.
So the executive gave me the yes July 7th of last year.
That's what I mean about manifesting this way. Is you start with just the potential, totally intangible, just the potential. You create the organism, and the organism basically blooms on its own.
Mhm.
No, you don't have to force it. You don't have to move it. It's in motion. It's part of the grid. It's out there.
And I
And it-
still wanted it to go faster.
Oh, they want it to go faster now.
No, I wanted
no.
it to go
Oh,
faster.
you want it to go faster. Yeah.
But-
Yeah. Aren't you glad you waited?
I can appreciate it now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you
But I
wait long
think-
enough, it'll be worth $500 billion.
Exactly. There you go. Right. There you go.
That's all I can say.
Mm. So true. So true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was bing bang, and it wasn't. And so that same Thursday, Craig, I found this program. It's like, that's the program, the credit program I've been looking for.
Ah, okay. So it showed up.
It showed up that, and
Yeah, the whole thing
the
showed
two
up.
the two pieces came together yesterday to be like bingo. I needed, and it was like as if those two things needed to open up at the same time.
So what made you ready?
I think you know,
Yeah,
it couldn't have gotten it could have gotten worse, but it was getting to a worse. It was getting to a place that it was going to be very uncomfortable. So, and normally I would have been a freak, like a basket case around it all.
Yep.
Yeah. But it was staying in the tension of it, staying true to something that I knew. I knew how to calculate it. I knew how to get to it, but there was nothing that gave me the guidelines to say, this is how you do it.
yeah. The house showed up.
Really, their formula showed up for me to plug my numbers into it. And that was what the real missing piece. So now that I got their formula, I can speak to it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was like,
Holy
I
crap,
think
this is big. This is really
Yeah.
big.
really big.
Really big.
Well, I mean, 16 years of knowing that this was going to be so in such demand, yet, I haven't even scratched the surface of what the usefulness of this product is.
Well, here's what's really humorous to me is the original thing that I designed and developed. That original thing, a putrid little piece of it has become $1 trillion business, and that's not even the bulk of the design. Like it's just one tiny leg of the design that's not really all that powerful.
Yeah.
But only I would know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's patting themselves on the back about having this huge dollar business industry and all this kind of stuff, and even nutheads like Dean Graziosi and
Tony Robbins.
and Tony Robbins are pushing it like crazy, and they don't know the power of it either.
It goes back to the kidney doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
It just gets good enough. And then I was in the same boat when it got good enough.
Yeah, good enough to exploit it. So you exploit it right away before it's time, or before it's developed
Yeah.
completely, and run with it, and then pat yourself on the back because you're, like it's just insane, that whole pattern.
Yeah,
just nuts.
and they're going to sit there in their world saying that it's never going to go away.
Well, that's the other half of it. Yeah.
That, oh, it's going to last forever. Yeah, right.
No, it's not sustainable.
Not even mine will.
The well is deep where that started. The rest of the design is sustainable, long term, and self-sustaining. Actually, that's the interesting thing about education as compared to training, teaching. Education is self-perpetuating because it deals with genius, which is infinite. Okay. The other direction works with a body of knowledge, which is finite by definition. So it can't sustain itself.
Yeah.
But genius can, right? Genius can sustain itself. There's a lot more where that came from.
Yeah. And it's
kind of that simple.
Unstructured. What is it? Unstructured every day. What is it that I need to know? What do I need to learn? What about this today?
Yep.
And I will say, if I could remember it, the more frustrating it gets, the closer the breakthrough is.
Yeah.
Just holding the tension.
Well, that's what I was talking about, piano tuning, right? The dissonance right close to being in tune, it's loud and it's annoying. When as it gets closer and closer to being in tune, it's loud and annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in everywhere. Like you see it in the government, right? Like when they shorten their agenda, that means like we're moving things.
Yep.
Right. So, but yeah, it gets more and more aggressive until, like you said, Jesse, there's a breakthrough. Yeah, these structures are everywhere.
Oh. They are. It is in everything. It is how we make meaning of life. And I think the biggest problem for people is that they look at the structure as just one point, as one silo, as one thread, and so they only grab onto one end of it. And it's like a noodle, right? You're holding onto a wet noodle on one end. So you just jump from structure to structure to structure rather than grabbing the other end of the noodle or the rubber band and building tension by that. So if it starts to build tension, if tension starts to build up in it, we could call it resistance. Usually it's resistance because that's what we want to get away from. We drop it, we jump to another one, we distract, we get out of it, we let the tension go. or we solve it, we fix it, we push at it, we fight at it. You know, and there's parts of that that I tried not to fight it, but there was parts of it. Self-doubt, oh yeah, that was full in there. This shit isn't working. What am I doing? I should have. And one piece of information can change it all. Silly people. Just still how much I'm attached to it, yeah. So thank you for letting me celebrate.
Three silly men.
I was saying to Jesse, the three quack brothers.
Three what?
Three quack. Quack.
Quack. Quack.
Quack.
Quack brothers. Quack brothers.
Quack
I like
brothers.
that one too.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Quack bros. Boys. Quack boys.
Yeah, you guys realize that by doing this stuff and talking about it and seeing what's there, we're actually learning. We're learning how to work with quantum energy, right?
Yep.
Very practical ways.
$201 days, Craig.
Oh wow. Two and one is three. Three's been my number for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, man. Me too.
Like it might be like subtle change every day,
Oh yeah, for sure.
but it's just like like running a marathon, right? So you don't see the finish line, but if you just focus on that progress, showing up, just showing up, eventually, like it's like what happened to you, Jesse, right? Like, so the door just opened, wide open.
So now work with me with this. So we meet every day for at least an hour. Yeah. So that's 200 hours, 200 days. Compare that to other programs, right? That meet once a week for an hour. Yeah. How much farther ahead are we than those programs just mathematically?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, for sure.
27 years.
Right. Well, and here's another thing too. We talked about subtle changes from day to day. But what's interesting is the changes aren't so subtle every day anymore. They're a lot more powerful and a lot more profound, right. A lot deeper, a lot more fruitful.
Yeah. Yes, mine was like it's all the Fibonacci it's the Fibonacci inside of it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
the Fibonacci momentum.
Yep. Yep. The curve is starting to approach infinity.
Mhm. And so my mathematic correlation was a linear way of looking at that.
Right. Right. It's not linear, is it?
Mm-mm.
Nope.
But I mean, we know we all came from a certain program, right, that ran it that way, and
That's right.
many out there are doing that, and it's like, oh, every day for. I mean, we're really like 50 hours, 50 years ahead.
Yeah.
Hard to grasp, but true. Yeah, I believe so.
I dare you to find a curve in business that approaches infinity.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Well, monopolies are the closest ones that do, and that's what I'm going to enjoy for a couple of years.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And then they'll take it away. But by then I'll be on to something else, right?
Well, yeah. But the thing is, you shouldn't leave that without being paid for life.
Oh, that's for sure.
That would be insane.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the intention, right?
Yeah, just like the banks do it,
Mm-hmm.
skimming pennies off every transaction, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. I'll tend to think that it'll become a pretty big issue, a pretty big deal. There'll probably be a lot of conversation about it. I'll probably become known in that realm and will continually be asked, how did I do it? And my answer will be these morning calls.
Yep, exactly. And we'll be consulting all over the world to show
Every
people how to
time.
do this.
Every time.
Yep. Yep.
Because I
Nobody
think
else knows how.
Craig, like you said, right? It's like it's always been on my to be. It's like this stuff has to be recorded. It's like, well, why? And the conversation was people aren't ready for it yet. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So that means it's like, and it's so true when we think about it, right? When people want to hear it, they want to hear about the past.
Yeah. How did you do that?
Because they won't step into it now, but not until you get somewhere will they be like, oh, how do you do it? And you have no time to tell them.
Right.
They don't, and nor do they have
Well,
the patience.
how can you explain this?
Yeah. And nor do they have the patience to listen to it.
Right. That's the big part.
And it's like, oh, so our costs are so much lower when we say, oh, here it is. Now we just have to put it together into something that's usable, right?
Yeah.
But if it wasn't recorded, we would be starting from zero. And it may not turn into anything, but it continues to be that vision for me. So I think it will.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my vision's there too.
So cheers to that, Quack Brothers.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it really doesn't matter the outcome, because if we, it's nice to have vision and whatnot, but we shouldn't have any attachment to the vision, because otherwise you might get disappointed or like, so like you should stay unchanged, no matter what the outcome is. Because like
replace the word
Yeah.
vision with passion.
oh, passion, yeah.
Well,
Now, would you
and I
say-
want to change the language even more than that.
Okay,
The
good.
thing is that the trick is actually being attached to the vision and attached to the passion, but not attached to any outcome.
Mhm.
Hmm. Right. Yeah. No, exactly.
So you're swimming in the passion, and that's where it all is. That's where all the potential energy resides. It's inside the
Right.
passion, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
holding on to that and giving it space to expand itself in the first place. That's the big thing. And and leaving a big question mark as to what comes of this, as to what the end effects are, what the influence is, what the impact is. That's a big question mark. Because when you define it, it collapses it all. It locks up your passion. It limits the vision. What's really funny about this is that I had become kind of a Luddite. A Luddite is somebody who kind of avoids their participation in technology for as long as they can. Like I never had a smartphone until 2015, I think it was. So like I was kind of holding off on that kind of stuff. And I didn't have any memberships in social media or anything like that until I think it was April 5th of 2019. So that's barely 4 years ago that I got into social media at all. And the only reason I did was because I ran across somebody, and I don't remember how they were advertising this or whatever, but I think somehow I got an email from this young lady who was teaching English as a second language and a bunch of other stuff in Japan. And she was barely surviving doing that. And then somehow she realized that she could make courses, she could make online courses herself and market them all over the world using her email collection, her email list. And she started doing that. And I was kind of attracted to that, mostly because of the courses, because I thought, holy shit, I can do that. That'd be pretty easy. And in order to get supported by her organization, I think it only cost me $1,000 to join her organization. And but in order to be supported through her organization, I had to join Facebook. So that was my first foray into social media. It was 2019, so it was only 4 years ago. It's kind of hilarious that it was about making courses. So yeah, there's got to be something you could teach that people want to learn, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
That was kind of the idea. again, all her stuff was just a collection of videos. I mean, it wasn't, none of it was experiential or anything like that. It was just a bunch of videos, a bunch of how-tos and that kind of stuff, which I can do in my sleep. Hey.
So I want to circle back around, Pascal, and honor what you brought in, and how we looked at it differently or added to it. I just wanted to circle back around to see if that was in alignment and supported what you were thinking and how that was, how that is now.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it was more like the wording that I used, that like the idea was exactly just like Craig was saying it. But yeah, it's like I couldn't express it. You know, because like I was referring to, there's one guy that started a podcast. Well, he was a film director before, and he hated his life like completely, and he had some awakening, right?
Yep.
He's the guy that does like the Next Soul. Anyway, so I put like, I think a few videos on him or whatever. But yeah, he started from scratch. But then, you know, it's not like he had the vision. He was just doing whatever he loves. You know, so he was
Same
just
thing.
Yeah, he just had this passion, right?
Yep.
But like he didn't care about the outcome. He really didn't care. He said like, I don't know if it's going to be big or not. It doesn't matter, you know. At least I love what I'm doing, right? So I guess like he had a little bit of money, right? He was that film director, and then like he didn't really care. And but this thing is turning out to be a really big one. Like the names that he's bringing on the show now, it's like wow.
Yeah.
And like he's one of my favorite podcasts to listen to. You know? So
yeah, I like him too.
You know, like just his energy and stuff, and you know, it's just so aligned with what I love.
We'll be on his show soon.
Yeah.
I'm
you never
serious.
know.
Never know. I'm serious. I'm serious. We'll be on his show soon.
Yeah.
Yep. There'll be a breakthrough coming, and people are going to get us talking about this. I want to know what the hell we're doing. What the hell we've been doing the last 201 days.
Right.
Well, the three quacks and let's see, somebody else. Allison.
Oh, we got Allison today?
AC's coming in the house.
Goodness gracious.
AC's in the house. Good morning, my dear.
Hey, Allison, big invite to you, young lady.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Hello,
Hi,
Allison.
Pascal.
How are you?
I'm good. It's good to hear your voice.
Oh, it's nice to hear your voice too.
Yeah. So I'm not going to stay long, but I had a word and I wanted to share.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is the place.
My word is steadfast.
Oh, yes.
What is your word?
Steadfast.
Dead fast. Yeah.
Dead fast.
Yeah. Sticking with it, no matter what.
Yep.
Oh.
Steadfast
Allison,
in
what
what?
a perfect
AC?
word. What a perfect word.
Steadfast in what?
You're nosy this morning, Jesse.
Well, because it ties into just what we were speaking.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm teasing about being nosy. Steadfast in commitment, right?
To what?
Life,
Yes, and
the essence of it.
yes, and
Beauty,
Mm.
love.
Mm.
Embracing it all. Discomfort. I don't know. This sucks.
Oh, wow.
And what would be your definition of, because I never heard that word before.
Oh, steadfast. It just means it means a kind of a detached determination, I think, Pascal.
Detached determination.
Yeah, but it's also, if you say somebody is steadfast, then, well, for me, in growing up, if my parents said somebody was steadfast, it meant that they were very reliable. And like I said, that they really embraced life in everything of it.
Mm. Embrace. I like that word.
Yeah, I do too.
Embrace it all.
it's like they're steady with it. And here's like my explanation of it is that when there's a deep yearning, there's a real sense down below that says that's where to go. That's what you need to do. That's the place to keep going, even when everything out there says no.
Yeah,
That's steadfast.
yeah. It's not easy.
Being totally devoted
Mm.
to your passion, even when everybody's arguing with you and fighting against you.
Right.
And you're not even clear that that's a passion or the
It's-
passion
Yeah,
or what it is.
yeah, believing in it without any proof. Believing in your knowing.
And in your not knowing.
And maybe
Yes.
the power of, or yeah, like maybe the power of that you don't need to, how would you say that? Defend it.
That's right.
Yes.
I like that.
I'm glad, Pascal.
I can
I'm
play
glad
with
it's a
that
new
all day.
word for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very.
I'd be like, honey, I'm steadfast today. She'd be like, what?
What?
What? Yeah. She'll be like, what? What is that? You know, I'm sure like she doesn't know that definition either.
Can you translate that into French or Korean?
Yeah, Korean it would be hard, but yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I said I couldn't stay long and I really meant it, but thank you. Love you guys.
Thanks,
Have a good
Allison. Love
weekend.
Love you,
Thank you,
Allison.
Allison. Have a great
For
day.
Bye.
popping in.
Yes, bye.
So Pascal is steadfast with his in-laws.
Mm,
Living in your space for that time, right? I mean, that is steadfast.
yeah.
for the family, right? For the family. And then it's like the tension of for the family and for your needs. It's like that tension between the two can grow and oscillate up and down.
Yeah, if you put focus on it. You know, last night, like just before to go to bed, like I was doing some stretching, and then my wife was feeding the baby, and she had to go and get more milk downstairs. And so she passed right by me, and like the baby's crying, right? And I'm just kind of finishing up like my my stretching, and when I'm finishing my stretching, I go to the baby, right? Like maybe like 3 or 4 minutes after. And she was like, "You don't seem to care about the baby. You know, he was crying, and you know, like you should be like picking him up and stuff." And I could be like, "Well, you know, blah 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 blah," but it didn't buzz me. You know, it was just like, okay, yeah, that's your opinion, I guess, right? Like, but yeah, like I could have make it like a big thing, right? Like it could have been a big fight, and then like I would have a hard time to sleep because like now we build this big energy, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to bed now, you know, and then that was it, and then like. This morning, it's like nothing happened, right? So I didn't put focus on it. Yeah, maybe next time, like I was like, well, you know, like next time, like, okay, I'm aware that like she doesn't like when like the baby's crying. So next time, yeah, I can get up and then, you know, pick him up. Right now, it's in my awareness. But, you know, it's done. Like, even though like I'm defending myself, there's no point.
Yeah.
Right? So I just let it go. And then she did her own thing, and, you know, all good.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I become very stable, I'd say.
Yeah.
I stay on stable ground most of the time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And people push me from like left and right, but I stay centered.
And you can always look back and say, oh, I can see how that used to throw me off. And you could say,
Oh,
like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's progress when we can look back at it and say, oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, is it the best thing like to argue about something, right? Like, no, I'm right. No.
Yeah.
And I was like, and yeah, that's what I was kind of saying in my head. Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't say that out loud.
No.
And it's like looking at the truth of it. It's like, do you really think that's true? Like, that's where the defense comes from.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, of course I care for my baby.
Right.
For our baby, of course.
Yeah.
But the tiger's not going to eat him.
And like the big example, like last night, so he started crying because he needs milk and stuff, and then like again she goes downstairs and I pick him up, and nothing changed. You know, he's still crying, and you know, and hopefully like she sees that, but probably not, right? But she sees that I'm picking him up, and that make her feel better, right? So I'm like, okay, well, but until I see a reaction, like before and after, then like I don't know. I don't know what she likes. I don't know what she doesn't like, right? It's like,
Without a doubt. Yep.
right?
And I'll say you didn't listen before either.
No, no, no.
Because it was all about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm with you. Same experience, just uniquely different.
Yeah.
Marriage.
But it's more like, yeah, like, am
Yeah.
I gonna throw my energy like just before to go to bed? You know, and then woman tends to like that. I don't know why. You know, just before we go to bed, like piss her off. You know?
Right.
You know, yeah, you know, like tomorrow you need to do this. I'm like, yeah, tomorrow, okay? Let's go to bed now. Right?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's just,
It's time to
Yeah.
sleep now. It's not time to pre-live tomorrow.
yeah, and then, you know, I don't know, like it's because they're not aware of like, you know, what you're like looking just before to go to bed. That's what you're gonna be like having maybe in your dream, or like you'll be thinking about, or whatever. So try to be as calm as possible before to go to bed, and you know, like relax a little bit. You know, not gonna watch like an horror movie that's it's gonna like completely change the way I sleep, right? So, but then like, oh, let's poke him before he goes to bed.
Right.
You know? Yeah,
Poke and provoke.
yeah.
I tell you,
Oh,
that lesson, that learning has been huge for me. My pattern was to take it personal, right? It's like, oh, she's attacking me. And when
Yeah.
she attacked me like that, man, I would take it personal and I'd hold on to it for a week.
Oh wow.
Trying and
You're-
like get back at her, right? Be like send
Oh,
it back
shit.
at her, right? Oh yeah. I mean the two of us are very similar, so it's like but when I noticed my pattern around that, I was like, how I noticed it was is when she said it, she was done with it. It's like, look at me. I'm the one that's taking
Yeah,
it the rest
yeah.
of the way.
Yeah. You're holding on to it like a rock in the
child, like a
for another
child.
week or 10 days, right?
Yeah, no, it was like, fuck it. It's like a great, once she got it out, she was done with it. It's like, oh, I can learn from her. My biggest lesson was I learned that from her. And it made all the difference in the world. I'm grateful she taught me that lesson. And our marriage is better as a result of it.
All of a sudden,
It's
the
like-
communication is completing.
Yeah.
See, I'm your wife, and my wife is you.
Yep, the flip flop.
So, you know, but yeah, I know why I choose her, right? You know, otherwise I would learn nothing,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And it's to pass that you can love someone, right? Like,
Yes, it is.
yeah, that's okay. So, yeah, we're just like, we're kind of playing and then learning lesson together. But as long as we don't take them personal, then we're all good, right? Like we can just learn it. No.
Yeah, it is that easy.
Yeah,
Just don't
it's
take it
absolutely-
personal. It's
Yeah.
just not, it's that easy.
Yeah, and it's not you. That's the thing. It's not you.
Yep.
Like that changed my life completely when oh, what? That's not me? You know? Like just like the sun in the cloud that I was explaining, right? So it's the same thing, right? Like it doesn't matter how big the storm is. Like it will never touch the sun, and the sun is you. You know, and it's just like just that. I'm like, whoa. But for the rational mind, it's like, no, it's you, you know, you gotta get back at her, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, right?
Yeah.
Like she's not allowed to do this, come on, you know, you're weak, right? You're this, you know. So your ego mind's gonna be just like going crazy.
Crazy. Defending.
Yeah.
That child defending in an adult body.
Yep.
Replaying the days on the playground again.
Yep.
Right? You can keep playing the pattern or let it go.
Yeah. It's your choice.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, and the outcome is peace or anxiety. That's the difference. It's like, so whichever one you want, keep playing the same pattern and you'll be anxious, frustrated, stressed, or work to not take it personal and find peace. One will just happen. One's the continual pattern over and over, and the other one takes practice to become aware of it, to shift it. It doesn't take that long. What takes the longest is the awareness.
Yeah.
That can take a lifetime.
Yeah. Well, and some people never get there.
That's my point. All depends on how bad you want to fight for yourself. How bad you want to fight being right. Fight needing to know.
That's the big risk of planting souls, like eternal souls in this environment, right? You know right at the beginning that 90% of them aren't going to get it. That's part of the reason why the population of the planet is nearing 8 billion people at the moment. Because what's going on, the big picture of what's going on requires a certain amount of participation. And the thing is, like I say, only 10% of those people are going to participate initially.
Yep.
Maybe even less than that.
Yes, the same Fibonacci, right? Same progress.
Yep.
And been in motion for millions of years.
Yes, it has.
Well, some people are sitting in the elementary, right? And then like the knowledge that comes out, it's for university student. So yeah, they're not ready, you know, and it's not their fault, right? Like they just haven't been to school long enough, maybe, right? So, and like, because I heard like from a podcast yesterday was like, it was channeling, it was the Z, it's called, and then they were pretty profound, and they were saying that we're allowed to push about 10% to expand your consciousness, but more than that, like we'll blow circuit, like you can't handle it, right? For the most people. And it's the same thing, like you talk to some people and it's like you're talking to a wall.
Yeah.
And really, like you're like, wow, like, but my information is great, but the information that you're giving is for university students, and they're still in elementary.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not like, well, you know, like you should jump class, you know, like you should evolve like so fast, but it's not. It's a way of readiness, right? Like it's just like they're just not there yet. And if you're just pushing, like they're gonna keep failing. But if you give them like, okay, well, I'll give you a smaller test and see how you handle that one, and then go from there, right?
Yeah.
But we give them like, we push them like, well, that was my pattern. I was like, well, you need to know this. Like, this is like, this is the best thing. And then they're not ready to listen, you know? And they can't listen because they can't grasp their mind around it, you know? Like,
it's like with that, it's like they need to hear it. They just may not need to hear it from me.
exactly.
Well, that's
exactly.
yeah, that's the other part. But sometimes it's not even that. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Like my roommate, like we've been friends for over 40 years, and we hadn't seen or talked to each other for about 15 years or so, and now here I am cohabiting with him, and I'm trying to talk about the stuff like we talk about every day, and he's just not there. You know, I just keep losing him completely.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, because he's stuck in that old, well, not stuck isn't the right word for it, but he's been in that old reality for so long, and hasn't had anywhere near the number of wake up experiences that I've had.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, you know, that has a lot to do with it too. You know, those wake up experiences have a hell of a lot to do with it.
Yep. And it's like in the timing of it, or it's like they need to hear it from someone. And so the more and more people that are waking up, it's like they bring their unique words, their unique way to it, and that helps others wake up.
Yes.
And it becomes that domino effect.
Right.
And that's the speed in which we're seeing it today.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the other thing is like, so they identify me as a quack, right? So, you know, but like other friends that they think they're more compatible, if they tell them like exact same thing I say, now they'll be like, oh, okay, you know, and they'll believe that person because they're kind of like, you would say more the same level, right? Or same consciousness or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, when I say something, as soon as I open my mouth, then it'll be like, oh, yeah, you again, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna come up with like these big concepts and stuff. And then I'm like, yeah, okay. So I won't say anything. And when you hear it from someone else, like, we can talk. But that's the
Yeah.
thing, like, it's an identification of that person. And we all do that, you know, it's not because like they identify me. We all do that, you know, like, I am
yes,
that.
Yeah.
yes, and that what I had to learn was they're not gonna like a big aha, like, oh, that's brilliant, right? Like, oh, that's the key for me. It's like when I introduce it the first time, I'm expecting them to grab onto it and run with it, and it's like, oh, what a horrible mistake that is on my part.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
You know, they need to hear it 3 or 4 times, maybe
Yeah.
7 or 8 or 10 times, and maybe a whole year later they come back and say the same thing to me, and it's like, oh, I'm glad you finally got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, pinch me.
Yeah. And usually it's like they didn't even get it from me, right? It's like it didn't even come
What
from
do you
me,
guys
but it was
reckon?
like, I know I introduced it to you because I know it wasn't in your language before.
You have a card?
So that one bothered me for a long time.
Yeah, because you were so attached to the
Yep.
outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we had it the other day, yesterday or Friday, and it was yesterday. Friday's call. It was like my business partner. They came all the way back around to this thing, and it was like, man, that was a year ago.
Yeah, I
But
know.
I'm glad what I settled with is like, I'm glad you're seeing it too.
Yeah. I know, it's crazy that the stuff comes back and be like, yeah, I told you about 2-3 years ago. And like, you deny it.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden it's the greatest thing.
From so and so, it's like, yep, that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least you see the progress, right?
That's right.
And the thing, like, I gotta be careful with that, because like there's other stuff that I don't know and I don't care, right? And if they tell me about something, and then I'm like, yeah, it's not my interest of knowing this, you know, and maybe eventually it will be, but it's not right now. So it's not like, oh, I'm better than them because I know this knowledge. No, like, I have to be careful sometimes, because like sometimes, like, the ego be like, yeah, you're great, yeah. And then like you just like get bigger and bigger, but you're not. You know, maybe I was able to tap in that knowledge, or like that knowing, you know, quicker, because I have interest in it. But that doesn't make me a better person, or, you know, a more knowledgeable person.
No, because it's not about knowledge at all.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Or knowing.
it's
right?
about awareness, right?
Yeah, and remembering, right? So
Yeah, the whole knowledge thing is a big smokescreen.
yeah,
That's why academics are so hard to penetrate. Because they don't realize that they're really dependent on their body of knowledge. The thing is, the stuff we're working on isn't inside that body of knowledge, so it's like it can't even exist there, right?
yeah,
Because we're creating it as we go. Here's something I want to share with you guys. It's kind of curious to me, because we're talking about people that are aware or not. And since I've been on this spiritual awakening journey, my background is really, really deep level Christian as far as that goes. But it was a lot deeper for me than it was for the people around me, just because I'm that kind of person. But like I said, I've read the Bible through probably 15 times and memorized huge chunks of it. So that's kind of my background, and it's very dyed in the wool and very dogmatic and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, when I started having these visions and hearing God speak to me audibly and stuff like that, I went really underground with all of that. In fact, I even stopped studying my Bible altogether. And this is about 10 or 15 years ago that I stopped doing that, because I just felt it was time to get out of that academic study mode with it and look to understand things a lot more symbolically and conceptually. And so I stopped studying the Bible. And I kind of thought that that I wouldn't really have all that much to do with the Christian community all that much. Now, what's really interesting is in the last couple weeks, I ended up connected with a young lady who teaches women how to speak on stage, and she had a really killer deal on her course, which is happening, I think, next weekend. Next weekend. And anyways, it was a really killer deal. And then I found out after that she's a really heavy duty Christian person, and everything is about scripture and all these kind of things. And I'm going like, wow, isn't that interesting that I got attracted to that, to that group of people. And then this last week, I had attended a writing workshop by somebody else that works with people to write their memoirs. And so, I always get something out of those kind of things, especially if they're free. And this lady offered me a scholarship to her program. And her program's worth like $5,000 or something like that. So she offered me a scholarship to this program. And it turns out she's the same thing. She's like Christian background and the whole thing, and it's kind of all about that. Like in this group, they have prayer meetings together and all kinds of stuff like this. So I'm kind of curious now. Here, all of a sudden, I have these two communities that I'm involved with that are Christian based, and I'm going like, oh my. Isn't it interesting? So am I called to bring awareness to these people? What's interesting is I know the jargon. I know the words they use, and I know the scriptures they use and quote, and all that kind of stuff. And I can play in that game as well as anybody else can. And so it's really funny. It's kind of amusing me that here I am back in that arena again. So yeah, so it's fascinating. All this stuff is fascinating, how this is unfolding for me. Because I have a lot to say to Christians, actually.
And what's funny is that the same thing, they just aren't open to hearing it for the most part.
Well, yeah, exactly. And so it'll be interesting to see how my communication adapts to them, adapts to their ears. But I understand communication as being primarily energetic, right? And so I know nobody in that environment even has considered that. And so it'll be interesting to see how the interactions come out.
Yeah.
Are you going to be wearing a different hat when you're going to be with this group?
No,
Okay,
not really.
good,
I'm
good.
coming in. I'm coming in as my true nature and purpose, baby.
Perfect.
As genuine
'cause
as I can possibly be, you know, and share all the stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm gonna be from now on. Doesn't matter who I talk to. I'm gonna shine the light. You know, it might be bright sometime, you know, but I'm not gonna dim my light, and I'm not gonna wear a different hat for different people.
Yep.
You know.
Well,
Right.
and the truth is for me too that any beliefs I might have had around Christianity and the whole thing, any beliefs I might have had, have pretty much all been reviewed and revised, and a lot of them have been thrown out. A lot of them have been reframed in some way or another, with respect to my own experience and my own sensitivities and those kind of things. And one thing I know that I'll be able to demonstrate to these people, probably more than anything else, is openness. Is just being open to different ideas, to different thoughts, to maybe a little different interpretation of certain things.
Mhm.
You know, and I know I
Yep.
can do that in a gentle and compassionate way.
Yep.
Yep.
And what we find is me and my mom went through that same thing. And it was so hard to say, like, as a creator, like, if we are powerful creators, right? That's the biggest challenge that I saw, because it still fascinates me that they're giving their power to God.
Well, they think they're giving it to God. They're not. They're giving it to the church.
That too. But either one, it's like God's
Yeah.
always bigger than me. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
so on. So, but it's like, no matter what
Yeah.
we give our power to, right?
Yeah.
Me and my mom still go back and forth with that. I understand her position, but there was so much. If it wasn't from this, then it wasn't right. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's multi-generational ingrained in everything too. Yeah.
It's like, we're saying the same words. I'm just not going to attach that word to it.
Yeah, or I'm not going to attach that meaning or that interpretation to that word.
That's right. And I kept here's how I framed it. It's like, I'm staying here. I said, I'm only going so far up out into the heavens. I'm only going so far, and I'm not going as far as you are. So I'm
Yes.
only making sense of it right here around me locally. I'm not. So let's keep the conversation there, but know that it flows that far up. I may call it something else. I'll call it source. You call it God.
Yep.
Amazing conversations, and it was so fun as we first started to tear down those walls.
Yeah.
Mm.
I still get a lot of butts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. But your mother's more aware than she was.
Oh boy, for sure.
And that's, I mean, what else is there?
That's exactly it. And in that is our relationship is even better than it was. Like, we didn't have a bad one. We didn't have a bad one, right? But it was like both of us unraveled our stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss my mom for that too. She was a major soundboard for me, especially in my teens. Yeah. She would just listen to me drone on and on and on and on.
Most important role for a parent.
Yep.
Listen.
Yeah. What's interesting about my mom is that she was really instrumental in making me aware in the first place. She gave me this book called "Can You Hear Me?" and it's about 1,001 different ways that you can hear God's voice speak to you. Yeah, which is
Wow.
really, wow is right. And I mean, that was a real doorway to openness for me, and awareness as well, because I started paying attention to what was happening. And as I look back on it now, there were synchronicities that happened and other stuff like that too, that I hadn't really considered, significant at that time either. But I mean, there was a lot of ways. In fact, even since then, since I read that book, I've actually heard audible voices. Like one time I heard an audible voice talking to me over a lawnmower, over the sound of a lawnmower. Like my human ears, my 3D ears heard audible voices. And I thought it was the voice of God initially, but now I understand that it was my own voice. It was like the God inside me that was speaking to me. But I realize now that they're one and the same. So it's kind of interesting how that's all come to light for me. So yeah, an awareness journey based on voice. And I know pretty well that my mom didn't realize the significance of giving me that book. Like she might have at the time, but somehow it drifted off. She went back really. Went back to the strictness of Christianity for some reason that I really don't understand. She thought that was where to be. Was to be really strict in your beliefs and not to be open or anything like that. So it was kind of a paradox that she gave me that book and then did a 180-degree turn from the message of it.
One way is the only way.
That's the general dogma of Christianity, is like, we've got the only way, we've got a corner on the truth, nobody else has it. know, and then everybody agrees to that. That's why there's 1,001 denominations, different denominations, especially of Protestants, because they all have little belief things that are different from other people. So they had to break off and be their own church because they can't coexist with other people who are 100% right as well. It's like, and
Yeah.
the funny thing is, each one of them is 100% right. That's the funny thing about it.
Right. I feel like it's brilliant the way they divide us with religion, because they all gave a little truth to it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
in
Yep.
every religion there's truth. And there's like,
Yeah.
there's untruth as well. Right? So, but you're so stuck, you know, because you
Yeah.
don't know what's the truth in there.
Right.
Right? But you think the whole book is the truth, but it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But by giving you a little bit of the truth, you know, say like, I'm just making this up, say like 15% of the Bible is true, right?
Yeah.
By just having that, then you're like, oh my God, like, this is how I need to operate for my life, you know? And then another religion will be like, we'll give another 15%, right? Another 50%, 50%.
Yep.
But until you stay open, and then like you're like, okay, well, this religion says that, and this religion says that, and then now you can be like, oh wow, I'm gonna make my own religion, and I'm gonna call it Pascal's religion.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm gonna make something out of it. But like, we tend to just like follow one way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's interesting because the Muslims believe in the same God, right? And they consider Western, well, the whole Western world, but mainly because it's based on Christianity, to be the infidels. And so they do terrorist acts to the white world, the white Christian world, right? But that's how they interpret their scriptures, as if that's a virtuous thing to be doing. Okay. Now it's very interesting. Christians look at that and they go totally ape crazy about that. But what they don't realize is that the Apostle Paul himself was a religious terrorist. He was going around murdering people who professed to believe in Jesus at the time. Like he was murdering them, and he had the full support of the church that existed at that time, the Judaism. He had full support of Judaism and the high priest in that to be doing what he was doing. Okay, and my family comes from Northern Ireland. The Protestants and Catholics have been fighting there for hundreds of years, and it's all religious violence. It's all about beliefs and shit like that. And so for me, it's kind of that whole arena has so many ridiculous things in it, like especially that kind of stuff, you know, violence in the name of God is twisted. But the thing is, you can read the Bible that way, and there's a lot of things that it says about God that are just plain twisted. And so, and if you believe that, if you choose to believe that that's what everything means, then you can justify pretty much everything you want.
Yeah.
Because it's in there. I mean, there's every kind of crime you could ever imagine is the story is told in there in great detail. You know, it's not the kind of stuff that kids should be reading, to be honest.
Right.
because the examples are there. However, there's a hell of a lot of truth in there if you know where to look for it, and you know, and you have the goggles on that can actually see it. And that's one of
Yeah,
the problems with it.
Yeah,
Like, it
yeah, there's a
can't-
lot of secrets in there.
there's a lot of secrets in there, but there's a lot of really upfront truth that can't be reconciled with this, with certain stuff.
Right.
Like, I know this author that wrote a book about, he called it the God style, I think it was, where he outlines all the attributes of God that are loving and benevolent and all these kind of things. And he points out, like, there's thousands of scriptures that say that, but the sad thing is there's more that say the opposite. Right. And it's very easy for people to focus on the ones that are cruel and twisted and violent and all those things, and believe that that's true too. You know, that's one thing about reading the Bible cover to cover, is you don't end up having a very good impression of what God is really like, because it seems to contradict itself over and over and over again.
And you can take the story and the metaphor that both of them exist inside of there and
Right.
use them to your intent.
Your advantage, yes.
The whole premise is, well, I'm right and you need to follow this. And it's on the other side of it is like, well, why don't you follow that?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, I'm following it, and we have a whole group of people here that are following it this way. Why don't you come and join us? Right?
That's right.
It's kind of like,
Oh,
That-
you
that's
can't
the
be
logic.
you can't be doing the same thing I am.
yeah. If you join our church, though, you're going to have to stop doing this and this and this, right?
That's right. Yeah. And if you don't do your church, here's my big gun. Yeah, I'm going to massacre you if you don't follow us.
yeah.
But it's a free choice.
We'll use a tactic. Yeah. Kind of funny. Kind of like the reverse of witch trials.
Well, which was because it was a challenge to the church, right?
Right.
A threat.
Well, the church has become status quo, especially in this country. Church has become status quo, and I don't know if you're old enough to remember, because you probably wouldn't have been able to vote then, but there was a moral majority in the 1980s. There was a moral majority that was led by people like Jerry Falwell. That basically took over the Republican Party, and in the same way that Trump did a few years ago, and just kind of railroaded everybody in the party. And, so Christianity became political too, or that extreme Christianity. And the sad thing was, a lot of more moderate Christians ended up going along with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was the best choice that was, quote, supposedly in line with what they want.
Exactly.
Rather,
And there's
I mean-
a lot of people out there that are single issue voters, like Roe versus Wade.
Mhm,
That's the breaking point for a lot of people.
mhm. Yep.
You can be
Oh,
the
for
biggest
sure.
criminal in the world, and we'll vote for you if you don't want to, if you don't
Yep.
agree with Roe versus Wade.
It's,
So it's
it
like-
is so true. So true.
It's just like so insane.
And yet they won't take in any children themselves.
They won't take in any children themselves, and in fact, the party can support human trafficking and and all kinds of abuses of children and other stuff like that, and they're totally blind to that.
And it's like it wouldn't take much. It would be like every church would just have to adopt, I think, like 5 or 6 kids, right? And we wouldn't have a problem.
Well, another thing too, capitalism has become a religion as well. And the extreme form of capitalism, the kind that trumps all over everybody.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna go in like 2-3 minutes. I've got a webinar
Okay.
to attend to. Yeah, I just want to say before I leave that congratulations to both of you for manifesting whatever you wanted. And the other thing I would say, it's like they needed more. They need more you than you need them. And it doesn't even surprise me that, say, Craig, like you manifest that course, but really they're going to benefit more you than you're going to benefit them. So we always thinking like, oh, we have to spend like, that much money for a course, but like think the opposite way. Like I was manifesting, like when I was renting a place, instead than them interviewing me, then I was interviewing them. Like, oh, are you sure this place is going to be okay for me? Because I'm a very quiet guy, So same thing, like reverse role, right? Like they need you more than you need them. So
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
And one last story I thought it was fantastic. I don't know where I heard it, but this lady, she had like she was a professional photographer, and her passion was like to go around the world and take some beautiful pictures and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, and she was like, well, I don't have the money. And so she had this brilliant idea to knock at the door of the airlines and explain that, she wants to take pictures all around the world. And in return, so you exchange energy. I'm going to take beautiful picture for you to put on your pamphlet so people, they can fly all around the world and stuff, and they'll have like beautiful picture that I'll be taking,
Yep.
And so she manifests not just like free flights. She manifests like, so they're paying for everything all the time, and they're paying her on top of it. So like she traveled all around the world, full expense paid off.
Yep.
All the time, plus they pay her on top of that. So
Yep.
So follow your passion, gentlemen. And
Hey, that's what I'm going to be doing.
yeah,
I'm going to be traveling in an RV all over the country, and the business is going to pay for everything.
yeah, exactly.
Write
So-
it all off. Write every bit of it off.
So fantastic. Yeah, well, have a wonderful day, good gentlemen. And
You got one thing before you go.
Yeah.
I watched your friend RJ yesterday,
yeah.
and I'm still considering joining his program, but I'll say something. I am gonna go and get like a gold coin or a silver coin or something like that. I'm definitely gonna do that. But
Yeah.
I just realized that I know more about this stuff than he does. So I don't know that he can teach me anything.
Mm. It could be, yeah. Yeah.
So anyways, that's what's coming to me this morning. So anyway, but interesting, very interesting stuff.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks, Pascal.
So anyways,
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that to attention.
Yeah, no worries, no
It was
worries.
very
No,
fruitful
that's
when I listened to that yesterday. So thank you.
great. Okay, guys. Have a
Have a
good
good
one.
day.
Pascal.
Big
you.
love, Pascal. Oh wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's so much more fun when the end result is a surprise,
Yeah, better than anticipated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, far different than what could have been expected.
Yeah.
And I love that about it. It's like the timing and the who and the and the energy of it and and the mission of it.
Yep.
And the passion of it all kind of converges, magically. You don't know life can be like this until you actually live it. it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Yeah, I want some more of that, please.
Yeah. Because we're expecting to get it a different way.
Yeah, or a certain way, right?
A certain way. Yeah. We're told you have to do it this way.
Yeah.
And not even told. It's just like it's the demonstration. We're just copying what everyone else was doing. And not until we start listening to our own inner compass.
Yeah, we start realizing that all those new paradigms are already there.
Yep.
They're already just sitting there waiting for us to focus on them.
Yep. Uncover them. Look at it differently. Upside down. Another perspective. Oh, it could be this way. The curiosity, right? Wonder and curiosity. How could this go? How could I get that? How could this be? Opening space, not closing it. And that will always be the lesson.
Yeah. Yep.
Wonderful. What a great day, Craig. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Again, we covered a lot of ground. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's Saturday.
It's Saturday.
Good. I can go back to bed.
Yeah, go back to bed.
I've been out walking since 5, so that's over 2 hours. So
yeah,
yeah,
it's good for you. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is good because I can just walk without even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
I'm gonna go make breakfast.
Ah, sounds good.
Mhm. Well,
You're a
have a
fruit
great day,
smoothie
Craig.
calling my name.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, you have a great day too.
Thanks.
I
Till
love you
next time.
lots. I love you lots,
Mhm.
Jesse.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
you're so valuable to me.
And you to me. I love you too, Craig. Been a journey, 201 days, man.
Yep. Yeah, it just gets better every day.
Every day. Not a solo. All right, man. We'll see you.
Okay.
All
Yeah, I
right.
lost you like yesterday. I think I lost battery now, so I gotta go.
Gotcha. I hear
Okay.
you. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.